Welcome to the Tea Factory podcast. Today, I want to give my commentary and my respect to someone who I used to listen to in the 90s, damn near every day, whose music was a soundtrack to my life. So, I want to talk about D'Angelo. Um, you know, D'Angelo passed away on October 14th, 2025. Um, so I just wanted to come on here and kind of just, speak my piece about him. D'Angelo was his stage name. His birth name is Michael Eugene Archer Sr., because he has a son that's his junior with Angie Stone. So Michael Eugene Archer. He was born on February 11th, 1974, in Richmond, Virginia. So he's from Virginia. And he passed away in New York City from cancer. Um, D'Angelo music, I was a young woman in the 90s, giving away my age. And so I remember when I first heard of when when Brown Sugar came out, when the album came out was in 1995, and I remember when it came out, and I remember watching MTV, BET back in the day. We used to watch a lot of music videos. Nowadays I don't even know if they make music videos anymore like they used to. But back then, you couldn't wait for the music video to drop for your favorite songs. So it was like those were beautiful times. And so for me, Black Brown Sugar, when that song came out, I always thought he was talking about a woman. I just recently found out that he was actually talking about weed. It was about weed, but then also about a woman. So it has both meanings, double meaning to it. It's not just weed. But and being a black woman, and the lyrics of that song were beautiful and empowering. As a black woman, it made you feel appreciated. It made you feel noticed, and put up on a pedestal. And I mean, that song is for every woman, but especially for brown skinned girls. Okay, we took it to mean that he was talking to us. Okay, and so it was just an uplifting song. And then we miss that in this day and age, because this day and age in 2025, it's a lot of degrading. Well, back then too, there was a lot of rappers rapping about women being bitches and hoes and the lyrics and stuff like that in the 90s, when D'Angelo was popular. So yes, there was a lot of music, calling women bitches and hoes. And so to have D'Angelo singing Brown Sugar and the song Lady and How Does It Feel, so when Brown Sugar the album and when Voodoo the album came out, it was a breath of fresh air, because even though there was a lot of R&B singers singing about love and stuff like that too, you got Jodeci and Jagged Edge and a bunch of other Joe. You have a bunch of other R&B singers, but I don't know, for some reason D'Angelo just hit different, and his music, is credited as being the pioneer of neo soul. And even though he hated that, he hated to be, I was watching an interview that he did with with George Nelson. He hated to be identified or called as someone who founded or co-founded or pioneered the neo soul movement, because he said it put him in the box, and he didn't want to be put in a box. He wants to be able to, make music, especially black music. He called his music black music, you know. So he wanted to be able to make music. He didn't want to be put in a box. And he said being, called as a neo soul pioneer of the movement put him in a box, and he didn't like that. And I guess, and that word neo soul was coined by his manager at the time. His manager is the one who trademarked that name and coined that name. And D'Angelo wasn't, he really didn't care for that. D'Angelo was like really down to earth, from my research that I found. He was a really down to earth brother. And so going back, so Brown Sugar, the album, and even that song, Brown Sugar itself, to me, it just made us feel as women loved, appreciated, put up on a pedestal. And then so on the album, for me, my favorite songs are Brown Sugar, Lady, and Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine. So Lady, I love that song, Lady. I feel like that song, Lady, is a true definition of black love, and I feel like it's a love letter to black love. And then the next song, "Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine." That song, love that song. Now that video, if you go to D'Angelo's YouTube channel and you look at that video, you can tell you can tell D'Angelo loved women, because like in all his videos, he's always like, always looks like he's mesmerized by, whatever woman he's in the video with. The way his eyes look, the way he, I guess that one girl when he was touching her and stuff. So he's just always had this admiration and love for a woman, like, and then every woman that he was dealing with on these videos, made them feel like they're the one and only. Probably knowing damn near that they're not, but that's just, that's what he oozed and that's what he gave. And then in this video, I did not know that that was Claudia Jordan. I was looking at the video the other day and I said, "Oh my God, is that Claudia Jordan?" So, yes, Claudia Jordan was, and I had to Google it to confirm, was in D'Angelo's video, Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine. And then his second album is the Voodoo album. The Voodoo album, um, is an awesome album. So okay, so just to go back a little bit, when he dropped his first album, he was young. He was I think like 19, 20, 21, and he had, a lot of people that had to kind of like push him to get him to finish the album and to complete the album. And he played a lot of instruments. So not only did he play the piano, the guitar, played a lot of instruments, and he played with he made his music with live instruments. It's not like microwave. His music is not microwave music. You have like some of these R&B people, they recycle and re repackage other people's music and stuff, and then they don't even have like real instruments, can't play instruments. Some of them can't even write music. They can just sing. They can hold a tune. But D'Angelo was very, very gifted and very, very multi talented. And so his second album, when he came out with Voodoo, he was a little bit older now. I think at this time he had children, because he had his first child with Angie Stone, his junior, and then he had another child, a girl, with a model. And then when he came out with Voodoo, apparently he had been in the gym, hitting the gym hard, because now he just, he's older and he's more defined and his body is like fine as hell. Okay. So when he came out with Voodoo and he did press, he did an interview for the album. And then there's this video of him doing the interview. And during the interview, the girl asked him to describe the Voodoo album, what the vibe and the music was. First of all, in this video, oh my God, he looked divine. Okay, he looked divine. He looked fine as hell. His braids were took his braids out, so his hair was afro, and whatever he was on, he was high as hell, and you could tell. But he just looked like a beautiful black man. And so the girl, when she did the interview, she asked him again to describe the Voodoo album or the new album that's coming out. He says it's going to be raw, funky, sexy, spiritual, blackness, not polished, not clean, just real. That's what he said. And that album was exactly what he just described it as. And Not only that, but he also was that. Okay, I was like, baby, that's you. You're describing yourself. Okay, I was all in my feelings, and when I watched that interview, so yeah, and so the Voodoo album, there are some of my favorite songs on that album is Left and Right. Left and Right is the song with him, and it's featuring Method Man and Redman, and love that song, love the video. And then Send It On. Send It On was written with him and Angie Stone. It was dedicated to their son Michael Jr. And then the third song on the album that I like is Devil's Pie. Devil's Pie is a song that he did for Belly soundtrack. Now that was, I remember that, like that. Yeah, I know I'm talking about my age, but I remember that Devil's Pie when Belly came out, and that song was on Belly. That song is fire. Like it really ties in really good with the movie, and yeah. Um, and then the next song is Untitled. How does it feel? Now, this song, Untitled. How does it feel? Is the song that made the video for this song is what pushed him to the, I don't know, to the next planet. Okay, because he became this huge sex symbol. Because in this video, he is, it looks like he's naked, but I read that he wasn't completely naked. He had pajama pants on, and so, but the pajama pants on, they were, they were lowered really low. So he was naked, like on the, on his top portion, but he did have pants on. And a lot of people, I read somewhere where somebody was like, "Oh, he was completely naked." No, he was not, because it's a video, and obviously there's staff and there's people in the background, and there's people recording the video, so that's like stupid to say that. But I don't know why some people just make dumb comments. But I read that he wasn't completely naked. He did have pajama pants on, but they, of course, they pulled them down low or whatever. But so the cameraman, when he goes down low, it gives you the illusion that he is completely naked, because he doesn't have a shirt on, so he doesn't have a shirt on. But it's a sexy, sexy video. D'Angelo's a beautiful man, and so that video turned him to what he ended up becoming, seen as a sex symbol, and he didn't like that, and um, it made him feel very uncomfortable. He grew up in church, so he's a preacher's kid. His dad was a pastor, and so whenever he toured and did his music, he said that people were after this video. This is after this video. People at the concerts would tell him to take his clothes off, or they said on some concerts people were throwing money on stage, and he did not like that because he's not a stripper. Okay, he's not a stripper. He's a musician. He's talented, and he wanted people to love and appreciate the music. Yes, he did that video, and that video, maybe he was, when he did it, he was down for it because, he is a beautiful man, but he did not think that it was going to have the outcome that it did, and it kind of, just sent him off to, it just didn't make him happy. So then, and then by him being a preacher kid, here he is, he's not making gospel music, he's making secular music, and for people to make him feel like they're low key worshiping him or idolizing him, I'm sure that didn't sit well with him, in my opinion. That's what I feel, because, in by him playing in his dad's choir, playing the piano at church, you know, music is in church, you're making music to praise and worship God, right? And so, but then in the secular world, you're making music to um, for the flesh, and so for the people to turn just from that video that he made from Untitled, How Do You Feel, to make him feel the way he did, I could see how it sent him the way it did. I really can, and people are just cruel. So anyway, so that's that song. And then I want to also say that there's a remix of Lady by DJ Premier. On that video, there's Erica Badu, Faith Evans, and Joy, and a young baby, a little girl. I don't know. I don't think that that's the Angel's kid. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know who's that. Who's I don't know whose child that little girl is. But that video, that remix, I love that remix of Lady. Love the video. Love how D'Angelo is on that video with the women. Like it's just I don't know. Like the vibe, the way he is with women on these videos, the way he looks at them, the way he smiles, and the way he just nuzzled Erica Badu in that video is just so cute, comforting, um, loving. It's just softness. It's just it's sweet. And then also he did a couple of other hits for soundtracks. So one of his very, very, very first song, the song that he got discovered on, was um, a song he did for the soundtrack, Jason's Lyric. Him and his brother wrote the music to that song, and it's "You Will Know." And that's like it was sung by a super group of black men, and they called themselves Black Men United. And so it had like the likes of everybody: Usher, Aaron Hall, like R. Kelly. I mean, I can go on and on. And so that was actually the very first song. That's the song that got him discovered. And then he also did, of course, the soundtrack Devil's Pie for Belly, and then another song for another soundtrack. And then also he did a song with Lauren Hill called Nothing Even Matters. I love that song too. Love that song. That's on Lauren Hill's album called The Miseducation of Lauren Hill. And then also he did a cover of Smokey Robinson's Cruising. I like that D'Angelo's version of that one as well. And then he released his third and final album called Black Messiah in 2014. One of the hits on that song from that album, I mean, one of the hits from one of the hits on the album, excuse me, is called Real Love, Really Love. And that song, and then there's another song that I like. I think it's called Sugar Daddy. But that song, I mean, that whole album, D'Angelo and the Vanguard Black Messiah album, is his final album. And on that album, you hear a lot of instruments, you hear classics, you hear blues. It's got soul, jazz, funk. I love that album as well. Um, and then also when that album came out, he had gained some weight. So so when he came back, okay, so he dropped like Voodoo in 2000. So from 2000 to 2014, he disappeared. He disappeared from the music scene because, again, like I was saying, when Untitled, How Does It Feel, turned him into a sex symbol, and he didn't like that. That didn't sit well with him. You know, people at his concerts telling him to take his clothes off and stuff like that. After that, he was just like, man, screw this shit. Y'all can have this shit. So he disappeared for like 14 years. He probably was raising his children or whatever he was doing. He disappeared from the limelight. Then when he dropped Black Messiah in 2014, when he came back, he had gained some weight. And so when he gained some weight, I'm sure, I mean, me personally, he still was fine to me. It didn't make no difference to me, as a fan. As one of his fans, I was, still loved me some D'Angelo, one way or another. It didn't matter. He was still D'Angelo to me. He was still fine as a fan. But I guess apparently for him, it put him into a state of depression. Um, while he was gone for those years, it said that he had suffered some, depression. Then, he turned into alcohol, he turned into drugs, he ended up, having to go to do some rehab and stuff like that. And that was between 2000 and 2014. That's when this happened. He ended up having some personal struggles, including depression, drug addiction, alcoholism, which resulted in him disappearing from the music scene for years. And then he comes and he drops Black Messiah in 2014. And, again, when he came back, he was, he had some weight on him, but still, he's still the same to me as a fan. And they say that before he passed away, that he was working on a fourth album. That's what some reports are saying, that he was working on a fourth album, before he became ill. And then I guess, I don't know, maybe there's something in the lab. Maybe his record label or somebody will put it out, but or maybe we will never. Those of us who are fans of D'Angelo, maybe we will never see the fourth album. But hopefully we will. Hopefully he had completed it or was almost done, but I don't know. But it's just sad to see that for him to be gone at such a young age of 51. You think you have more time with your favorites, your favorite artist. Um, but God is still sovereign. And also, they said that he was supposed to be a headliner at the Roots picnic for the 2025, which was this year. I think it was in June or something like that. The Roots picnic is a concert in Philly. D'Angelo was the headliner, but because he was sick, Maxwell ended up taking his place. And then, of course, he ended up passing away on October 14th. So, I, obviously he's lived a what I'm gonna say. I can't, this is just my commentary and my giving my respects in my 10-15 minute video. But obviously there's so much to his story. Basically what I'm saying is his story is not a short. I just did like a you know what I felt like I needed to do, just my little opinion, my little commentary. However, um, go to his YouTube channel, check out his videos, listen to his music. If you're a fan, I'm glad that we have the YouTube channel to go to. And if you're a new person and you're just now being introduced to D'Angelo, check out his YouTube page and listen to his music. You are going to fall in love with his music because D'Angelo made music for the soul. He wasn't just a musician, he was a feeling. His music gave you a feeling, and that's what matters, and that is what I'm going to always remember every time I hear Lady, Brown Sugar, Me and Those Dreaming Eyes, how, uh, Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine. Those songs, the memories that I have. Thank you, D'Angelo, for your music. Thank you for your talent. Thank you for the memories. And thank you for the feeling through the music. May you rest in peace. One love.